How's it going today? What I want to talk about, because I think that it's fantastic and one of the most amazing things in geometry, is the distance formula and the midpoint formula. Now, this is specifically only for coordinates, okay, in terms of the coordinate plane. So there's distance and midpoint on number lines as well, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about just the coordinate plane. And so I have these two beautiful formulas for you, and you should probably write them down because they're super fantastic and super important. So the distance formula is this big old long, really badly put together square root of the quantity of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. That's a lot. Okay, we'll talk about it and how to use it in just a second. The midpoint formula below it is x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. So, two very simple formulas, maybe not easy to remember, but they're pretty easy to use. And so we're going to look at those now, okay, with a awesome example. I got a great example for you. Okay, ready? Boom! We're going to find the distance between point A and point B. Point A is -3 and 2, and point B is 4, -9. So what we have to do to be able to do this is we have to label them, okay? And in algebra, you should have learned how to label some points, but if not, that's okay. So we're going to label these points, and by labeling, I mean we're going to give it an x1 value, a y1 value, okay? So that means that since this is the first x, that's going to be x1. And since this is the first y, this is going to be y1, okay? And then that means that this is going to be x2, and this is going to be y2, because the x values are the ones that come first, and the y values are the ones that come second. How about that? So, looking at how to find distance, what we normally do is we would write it as a distance between A and B. So we would say A to B, okay? Now, using that formula, which is crazy, I'll just back up a second. That formula is nuts, right? But you got to remember that square root all the way through because a lot of times you'll forget it. So let's go back and look at how we will set it up by plugging in what we know. So the first thing that we do is we write that root. And the first thing we plug in is x2. So we're going to do 4 minus x1, which is -3. And we're going to square that. Then we're going to do plus. And we're going to do y2, which is -9 minus y2 or y1, my bad, 2, and we're going to square that. Now, all you got to do now is really just break it down. And I just say, if you know how to put it in a calculator like that, then do it. But if you don't, then break it down, then put it in a calculator. So if you look, you got this negative and a negative, so that's going to make a positive. So we can go ahead and make that a big old plus. So that's going to make 7 squared. We're going to carry that square root all the way through, right? Plus -9 minus 2 is -11. And we have to put that in parentheses because we got to square it so that it becomes positive. Remember, distance always has to be positive. And so if you get a negative answer for this, woo, you are wrong, okay? We got to make sure that it's positive every time. So 7 squared is going to be 49. And 11 squared, or -11 squared, is 121. Okay, so we got the square root of 49 plus 121, and so we want to add that together, and we get 170. We got the square root of 170. So we can leave it as the square root of 170, because that would be exact, or we can go ahead and break it down, and basically the calculator can do that for you, so you can put in the square root of 170, which is 13.04 if you round to the nearest hundredth, which is okay. So that's how you do the distance formula. All right, so let's check out the midpoint formula. Ooh, midpoint formula means that you're going to find the middle point, right? So checking out that midpoint formula again, you're going to add the x values together, and you're going to divide by 2. Boy, that's simple. And then you're going to put it with the y values divided by 2. So let's go back. We're going to do the same point, so we're finding the midpoint of AB, segment AB. I probably should say segment on there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do x1 and x2, just like we had over here. So x1 and x2. x1 is negative 3, so negative 3 plus 4 divided by 2, comma, 2, which is y1, plus negative 9 divided by 2. Put that in parentheses. You should be getting an x and a y value for this, right? Because it's an x and y answer. So negative 3 plus 4 is 1, and 1 over 2 is 1/2. So you can leave it as the fraction, or you can make it a decimal. I mean, it doesn't matter. So 1/2, comma, 2 plus negative 9 is negative 7, right? Divided by 2. And you can leave it like that too if you want to. You can just leave it as negative 7 over 2. Or you can make that negative 3.5. So that's how you use the midpoint formula, and that's how you use the distance formula, which are two, pretty much amazing formulas inside geometry. All right, until next time, see ya.